Hi, fellow followers and YouTubers. So, my question today, I just want to find out, what do you think of the job market and finding a job in the year 2026? Do you think the unemployment rate is what they're saying it is? Do you think everyone should just jump on board with what other people are doing with AI? Do you think everything should just be thrown to the wind because of the introduction of AI? Just looking at so many things lately and reading so many things about the job market, how to find a job in 2026, what other countries are doing with AI and things. How beneficial do you really think AI is? Is it maybe a distraction for something else that they don't want us to know about, that is going to change the world even beyond what it already has now? Is it to continue to take away people's jobs? Is it more important than thinking for yourself and not plagiarizing? Is it really beneficial in making people's jobs more productive, more time efficient, when for, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years we've never used it? Is it going to continue to cause suicides, depression in people because it still allows them and requires them to be on a screen for so many long periods of time? Just look back after what happened with the COVID and all the depression rates then and things, and the divorce rates, and what was causing all of that, and the rates, for divorces and depression. Where does the line stop? Where do we, take over as humans and not allow robots, AI to replace us, to be as if they're more valuable than people? There's people talking about, okay, yeah, we need to keep up with it because, look what China's doing with AI and technology and robots. Okay, so, if China goes and jumps off a cliff, we should too? I mean, yeah, okay. And then just the other day, I do DoorDash as a little side gig, and I had to use the DoorDash support, and it immediately routed me to a robot saying, "Oh, I'm Olivia," whatever the name was, "and I will be your virtual agent." And she couldn't understand me, what I was saying, and kept saying, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I don't understand you. Let me transfer you to a live representative." Okay, I hear the phone transferring. Nope. Routes right back to Olivia. And I get the same message all over again. "Hi, this is Olivia. Oh, okay, I am back. Sorry, I got left off there talking about my AI agent, Olivia. So, yeah, the thing is, it just kept happening. She kept saying, "Oh, yeah, I'll transfer you to a live agent. I can't understand what you're saying." And, it took till the fourth time because she still couldn't help me, assist me, saying, "I just need to let me transfer you to a live agent." Well, I finally got to a live agent, and then that's when my issue got solved. So, it just, you really go to thinking, yeah, a live person needs to be doing it. It reminds me of those years in the past where everyone used to always say, when calling 800 numbers or whatever. I don't want to talk to a robot or an answering machine. I want to talk to a live person, a live agent. Yeah, well, I think we might all still feel like that. And I think we're going to be saying that phrase more often again. So this is what it's like with AI in 2026. This goes into what it's going to be like to find a job in 2026, what the job market is, unemployment rate is. You know, that's the other thing I brought up and was talking about it to continue this video that I'm doing now. So, you know, just what are your thoughts on AI? You know, I see the good things about it, but I also see the not so good things about it. And you know, I wonder if it is really going to be affecting people's lives more than it should, and jobs more than it should. And how is it, you know, making the world a better place? And you know, you can sit there and say, oh yeah, when they found all these studies about kids getting depressed because they're spending too much screen time on the screen, their phone, their laptop, iPad, the TV, their games for gaming. You know, they're saying the reverse, saying, yeah, but it's about the limited time. So if they're learning it as an educational tool, that's different. Their time will be limited on it. Really? So if they're using it as a learning tool, they're probably going to be on it pretty often if that's the method of learning. You know, not the old-fashioned way of an instructor, chalkboard, handout sheets, you know, verbal instructions, verbal explanations in teaching. And if they have to use AI to do their homework, that's still time on the screen. So I'm not so sure about that. It may, you know, it's going to be limited a little bit because, you know, they're not probably want to sit there studying assignments, learning AI, how to use it, you know, that long, because they'd probably rather go game, than be on the screen again on their game or iPad. I mean, you know, that's still going to equal more and more screen time. It's going to double up on that, you know, that's what I think. And, you know, in the job market as it is already today, and things so much changing, and you hear more and more about toxic work environments, toxic coworkers. You know, how does AI help with that? If not, you know, it's, if anything, maybe it's actually making toxic environments worse. Because think about it, you know, you got people suddenly worried they're going to lose their job to another person because of AI. So they're going to, you know, become toxic, maybe jealous, throw a person under the bus, or do things to where management starts to target that person more specifically. They're going to make that person they want to target to bring down, if they're intimidated by, jealous, worried they're going to lose their job to AI over. They're going to do all kinds of things. You know, it's going to do this to people. And, you know, I don't think that's helping make the world a better place. You're just making a toxic work environment, a stressful work environment, and then, you know, eventually that stuff catches up and just going to bring everything down because, you know, the line isn't being drawn somewhere. There's got to be a line where this kind of stuff stops so that things like this are looked at. You know, it's not just all about AI, it's the effects AI is doing to people, the world, our thoughts, our way of thinking, and again, just how do you go from, oh yeah, plagiarism, that's not good, that's illegal, you didn't use your own words. So all these kids that grew up in the generation that were told that, and got maybe suspended from school or got an F or had to rewrite a paper or whatever their punishment was if they were found plagiarizing. Maybe they should all get an apology now, right? From all the teachers that punished them for that, because you're basically saying now it's okay and everybody can just use AI. That's plagiarism right there, and they can always say, oh yeah, but I tweaked it some. Yeah, that's still okay. What if they're lying about that? What if they didn't tweak it? What if they didn't take the time to do that? Because they know they may not have to, they know, oh, well, it's done. AI already generated how I could, write a paper on this topic, or how I could say this, so is it teaching us not to use our brains as humans? We want to just all rot away and, not have mental capacity about us. There was a study once I read somewhere years ago that people who have a college degree or higher education beyond high school are less likely to develop Alzheimer's. So what went into play into that, is it because they kept exercising their mind? Is it because they got a further education, kept learning? So, if that's the case, then maybe more people are going to get Alzheimer's with AI, because people aren't going to want to continue to learn. They're just going to want to rely on AI, right? What do you think? What are your thoughts on this? And of course there's the positives and pluses to all this, but what are your thoughts? How can it really be seen as good yet and for the better if they're still trying to figure out and study AI and how it should be used, how it can be used, how to use it, and how to teach it? Teachers are even still, I read, or try to figure out how to teach it to their students. And then, what if it all falls apart? What if it all just doesn't work and we don't want to rely on AI anymore? Like, what do we really need ChatGPT? I mean, we were doing fine without that. We were doing fine without Canva, right? Yeah, we already had cell phones and apps for this and that and everything else. Did they have to build the Titanic in, 1908 or, well, whenever that was, did they have to use AI to do that? No. I mean, yeah, the ship sank, but that's not even the point. It's how they built it, the materials they had, how they constructed it, the history behind it, how it was still a strong ship. It just, unfortunately, so many unfortunate things that were beyond so many people's control went out to make the story even more tragic. So, just watch documentaries on that. And that's, if they could do and build something like that without AI, and that was a long time ago, makes you wonder, well, and we've been building bridges, skyscrapers, companies, businesses, whatever since then without AI. So how do we still need AI to keep doing those types of things, building roads and bridges and towers and monuments and whatever, So just and I mean, I'm just trying to see what people's thoughts are. I see the good and I see the bad of it. I see how, yeah, it can be helpful, and oh, yeah, maybe it's not so helpful. We don't know yet all the benefits of it, kind of like, when LASIK surgery came out. Some people were like, oh, I don't know. I think I'll wait and see if they do more studies and see how it turns out for people long term, like 15, 20 years down the line, what it does to their eyes, what symptoms they might have. So, with AI, if they're still trying to figure it out or use it as a distraction from what's actually happening beyond our, knowledge right now, or beyond what they want us to hear and actually know the truth about, that's just what I'm thinking here. Like, there's probably more to it than we really think, especially if we're just so quick to say, yeah, I'm all for it. AI is good. Look what it does, this, it does that. It's actually lowering time screen on the screen. I'm not so sure, because if that's your learning tool to learn and you're on the screen, and then you do your homework on the screen, you're still on the screen, then you get on your social app, on your social media phone for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff, you're still on the screen for that. If you're watching TV or a gamer and you're playing your games, you're still on the screen for that. It's doubling screen time. More than doubling. What am I talking? More than doubling. Like, it's not going away, that screen time, and it's not actually really being limited. So, where does that line stop? Where do we not see and stand up and find ways to, I don't know, just find ways to say, should we really follow suit and keep implementing AI? Or should we not, wait and see, kind of like with LASIK surgery, for example. Let's wait and see what the outcomes, benefits, symptoms of it, whatnot, not really symptoms for AI, but the long-term effects, the benefits of it, just So yeah, just what are your thoughts? I guess that's it for now. I'll probably come back with more thoughts here later and check them out then and see what I have to say. All right, thanks for watching. Subscribe below. Bye.